Getting feedback on our performance and behavior is key to improving and enhancing our leadership capability. In learning how others see us, we close the gap by viewing our approach to management and leadership through the lenses of others. The 360 assessment gives us a unique opportunity to gain greater understanding of our strengths and improve working relationships with the people we depend on to succeed: peers, superiors, subordinates, and even customers. To take full advantage of this opportunity, you will need to ensure you're in the right mindset. It's a mindset of continuous learning and growth. You want to extend your competencies, you want to grow, and you want to adopt behaviors that will allow and enable you to be more successful. To help you decide where to focus, you can use the 360 approach to gain feedback from others, your boss, and others, offering you the ability to create a richer development plan and increase your credibility with others. Through this journey, you can be granted more power, influence, and career opportunity. When used in a supportive manner, a 360 assessment gives us a starting point from which to plan, measure, and effect our personal and professional growth. Leaders armed with this kind of insight give rise to productive staff and an organization that can realize its highest potential. Seeking and receiving feedback like this is not for the faint of heart. This is powerful stuff. And at the same time, you need not fear it. You are asking for feedback from colleagues who have your best interests at heart. The results of the 360 are only a data point, not a replacement for good, healthy conversation, and only one of several possible data points one can look at. You will need to make sure you've got coach support either internally or externally. One executive described his experience working with a leadership coach. I read and reread my feedback report. What my coach found in that report was astounding. Connections between practices and themes about my management behavior that were stunningly accurate. In a follow-up survey of 360 feedback participants, 70% reported that having a coach helped them make more effective use of the feedback results. With all this support, the rest is up to you, making the most of the Learning Edge opportunity. There are various forms of 360 assessment. The one you will be participating in is competency-driven, based on a long-standing emotional intelligence competency model. Everyone we interact with forms an opinion about our behavior and how effective we are as a leader. Those are the competencies we bring to the job every day. This model helps your raters respond to the questions and respond to support the change you're looking to make. You will receive rich and candid feedback on your performance and behaviors, both strengths and exposures or vulnerabilities, from your leader, your peers, direct reports, and other key stakeholders in your own personal and professional growth. You get a consolidated view by stakeholder grouping, which gives more insight on where your strengths and growing edges are, highlighting the themes where there is need or opportunity for focus. Finally, the system is structured to support follow-on change through personal coaching and ongoing engagement of your selected raters. Let's turn first to the competency model you and your raters will be working with. These are the competencies and behaviors that will help you grow and develop to successfully take on more responsibility and potentially assume more senior leadership roles. Multi-Health Systems defines emotional intelligence as a set of emotional and social skills that influence the way we perceive and express ourselves, develop and maintain social relationships, cope with challenges, and use emotional information in an effective and meaningful way. Through years of research, they have identified 5 key competencies or composites. They are self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal, decision-making, and stress management. For each of these composites, there are 3 subscales. Let's look at the model, its composites, and their subscales. A leader's exploration of emotional intelligence begins with a view of one's inner self. It is the foundation upon which one stands to face the world. We call this self-perception. Self-perception is the ability to identify and understand one's own emotions. It consists of 3 elements: self-regard, emotional self-awareness, and self-actualization. The second composite is self-expression, which consists of 3 subscales: emotional expression, assertiveness, and independence. This composite examines how we express ourselves in the world, how we show up. The interpersonal is the third composite and is about how we prefer to interact with others and the world. The three subscales are interpersonal relationships, that is, developing and maintaining mutually satisfying relationships; empathy, which is understanding and appreciating how others feel; and social responsibility, our social consciousness or helpfulness. Next is decision-making composite, where we find problem-solving, reality testing, and impulse control. This is about how we find solutions when emotions are involved, being objective and seeing things how they really are, and our ability to resist or delay our impulse to act. Finally, the stress management composite examines our level of flexibility, reflected in our ability to adapt our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors; stress tolerance, that is, coping with stressful situations; and optimism, having a positive attitude and outlook on life during times of stress. When all the assessments are in, you will receive the rolled up results, as will your coach. Your coach will then hold a debriefing with you to review the results and move into a development cycle in which you will focus on a few of the key insights and develop action plans to enhance your competencies and behaviors. To support the assessment debrief session, the Leadership Intelligence Coach will be using two frameworks to provide feedback. First, the Legacy Leadership Model, and second, the OPS Leader-Manager Model as frameworks for that feedback. As you're completing the assessment, think about leadership and what it will take to have you boost your leadership capacity. The Legacy Leadership Model, described in this book by Janine Sandstrom and Lee Smith, identifies 5 leadership roles that are critical for the leader: the holder of the vision and the values, the creator of collaboration and innovation, the influencer of inspiration and leadership, the advocator of differences and community, and the calibrator of responsibility and accountability. This is one lens through which the coach will be providing you with feedback and direction. The other lens the coach will be using is that of the Ontario Public Sector Leader-Manager Competency Model. This model deals with the leader-manager's 4 competencies and 2 behavioral dimensions. The 4 competencies are delivering on accountabilities and commitments, leading others, shaping and executing plans, and accomplishing what one is setting out to do, while recognizing that success is based more on what your team accomplishes than on what you do. Connecting with others, relating to and engaging peers, superiors, and subordinates in order to successfully build the foundation for one's plans, and then to execute on those plans. We are all interdependent and need the support of others to be successful as we pursue our mandate. Inspiring others, and once again it includes peers, superiors, and subordinates. This takes the connect dimension to another level, supporting the motivation of people on the team and encouraging them forward, even and especially in stressful times. Transforming operations to more effectively fulfill one's mandate and accountabilities. This means changing your own and others' mindsets to continually look for better ways of doing things and shaping the way things work around here to reflect the vision of a desired future state. The 2 behavioral dimensions are self-awareness, being able to identify how one's own thoughts and emotions are affecting performance and interactions with others. Only through self-awareness can you identify what you want to adjust and need to adjust to be more effective in your leadership role. Integrity, in order to build trust with one's peers, superiors, and subordinates. Through this trust, more can be accomplished by the teams and the colleagues on whom you rely. We introduce these to you at this point in the process as some context for what will follow when you get your report and then generate your growth and development plans as a result of this exercise. Let's now talk about the process you'll be going through. We have laid out a 7-step process which moves you from initial setup, where you are now, through to taking action on your development plans. Our diagram reflects the power of continually revisiting the feedback you have received and setting new learning goals for yourself. The first important step in the setup is to partner with your leader. This will be a dialogue with your leader to agree on the objectives of this 360 assessment for you and what support your leader will provide before, during, and after the assessment. This is a good place to discuss whether you want to frame the assessment for your current role, an expanded role, or a new role. And this is something that you will be sharing with your raters. You may also want to explore who to invite to be raters, as your leader may have some useful suggestions. Now it's time to select your raters, and this needs to be done with care. In addition to yourself, you'll be dealing with 4 categories. Leaders, which could include the person you currently report to and others you reported to in the past. Your direct reports. Peers, those others who report to your leader. And colleagues, those who report to another leader, either in the same department or another department. Other than the self and leaders categories, you will need a minimum of 3 raters per category to get feedback in that category. We therefore recommend you select at least 4 raters in each of these categories. As you're developing your list of raters, ask yourself these questions. For what outcome am I selecting these particular raters? Can and will they provide insights into my work outcomes and practices? Are these raters oversubscribed for this assessment? How long have I known each of these raters? Understand that length of time affects accuracy. It needs to be long enough to move beyond first impressions, and not so long that the responses are too generalized. For the most part, the most accurate responses are from those who have known you for 1 to 3 years. In our experience with 360 assessments, those who have known you for 5 years or more are the least accurate. After you've selected your raters, it's useful to connect with them individually and explain what you're doing and why you have selected them. Spend some time educating them on both the process and what you hope to achieve from the multi-rater feedback. Highlight the role you want them to think about, your current role or a new or extended role. Indicate your commitment to the process and having an open mind for feedback. Share with them at least one action you will take based on the feedback. And finally, commit to following up and sharing your developmental goals and plans with them. To activate the assessment process, you can send them the letter you have in your package, which describes everything they need to know and do to complete your assessment. With your raters selected and confirmed, complete the rater registration form so that your raters can access the online assessment instrument to complete their rating. On that form, you'll be identifying yourself, at least 1 leader, and at least 3 or 4 raters in each of the remaining categories. You then forward the completed form to Wendy Costanti at Leadership Intelligence. Wendy's the one who will be managing the process for you from here on. In the implementation phase, Wendy's role is to email the link for completing the online assessment to all participants and their raters. Follow up with raters to encourage them to complete the assessment. Provide status reports back to you and your fellow participants. Generate the individual and group assessment reports, and email the completed assessment reports to participants and their coaches. For you, it's now time to complete your self-assessment. Book 60 minutes in your calendar like a regular business meeting. Book the time for when you'll be in your best mood and won't be interrupted. Think about the 360 objectives and your development objectives, identifying the competencies you'll be rating against. Review the competency model we introduced earlier, and think about the competencies and behaviors you're going to be rating yourself against. You'll be rating yourself on 2 dimensions: how relevant or important the competency is for your role within the particular environment, for example, a stable environment versus a transforming one, and how strong you think your performance is. It's your choice whether that role relates to your current role or your next or extended role. And as we've said, this is something you'll need to share with the individuals you have asked to be raters. In terms of time frame, think about your behavior over the past 3 to 12 months, rather than focusing in on a particular incident last week. As you're getting ready to complete the online assessment, make sure you're on an internet connection that's not temperamental. You don't want to lose your results in the middle of the process. Now it's up to your raters to complete their assessments for you, supported by an online tutorial to prepare them for the exercise. And then you'll receive your assessment, as will your coach. You will schedule a session to complete a debriefing of the assessment, then start the development plan cycle. In this cycle, you will select the aspects you want to concentrate on first. Develop a 90-day plan. Declare that plan to your stakeholders and thereby engage their support. Then act on the plan. After 3 months, you'll review your results with your coach and select the next items to work on, stepping through the plan, declare, act, assess cycle 2, 3, or even 4 more times. With any assessment, it's important to realize and take advantage of the value of having a coach to work with you through the next steps. First, with understanding and interpreting your assessment feedback, and then to support the building of your development plans. To underline this impact, results of a study published in Training and Development Journal illustrate the impact of a coach on performance with respect to the change in behavior and production of results over time during and following a training event. Without coaching, performance behavior improved during the training, rose a little more, then fell back to marginally above the individual's former behavior. Results produced by the individual following the training first dipped, understandable as part of the learning curve, then rose, flattened out, and stabilized. For those with coaching, following the same initial rise in behavior, the behavior continued and continued to grow. And the results produced by the individual did as well, in dramatic fashion. You have the opportunity to experience the same difference, so it's important that you aggressively take advantage of your coach and the coaching relationship. Well, that's it. You're on your way to receiving structured feedback to actively support your learning and development goals. We encourage you to embrace the process and glean as much as you can from the exercise. Those you have chosen to hear from have invested significant thought, time, and energy on your behalf, and it will be important to acknowledge that contribution by taking the feedback mindfully, acting on it, and letting them know how you're moving forward. We wish you the best of success as you follow this path to greater self-understanding.